Welcome back, Truth Seeker. Thursday, April 23rd, 2020. Today, the NFL Draft. Joe Burrow will be drafted number one by the Cincinnati Bengals. And I want you to see the massive ritual that's encoded in this. And it's a ritual we've been talking about with regards to the college championship and the Super Bowl, which were synced together this year, and both had a lot to do with the name Joe. Joe Burrow and Joe Montana, the later of which defeated the Bengals twice in the Super Bowl. And of course, today the Bengals will be getting Joe Burrow. So let's put it together. Again, the draft, April 23rd, which is typically the 113th day of the year. And remember, this year, Joe Burrow was the MVP of the college championship that was on January 13th, 1-1-3. His LSU Tigers defeated the Clemson Tigers in their own backyard, New Orleans, about an hour south of Baton Rouge. And remember, in Gematria, LSU Tigers equals 113. New Orleans, where they won, it's referred to as NOLA. NOLA equals 42. They won the game 42-25, combined 67 points. 67's the 19th prime. It was the 2019 season. And the over-under for that game was 67.5 points. It should have been on the over because Clemson scored a 50-yard touchdown in the fourth quarter that the Zebras took off the board for no reason. Again, it's because the game was fixed. The betting public was on the over. Vegas won big by the Zebras keeping it on the under. But 67 combined points, symbolic. Again, the 19th prime, and we're going to talk about how that connects with Joe Montana and the Super Bowl. Now, with regards to those 67 points, notice the date of the draft, April 23rd, 2020. It's a date with 67 numerology. Again, 67 is the 19th prime, like 67 points scored in the championship. And from the date of the championship, which Louisiana or LSU won, from the date of the championship to April 23rd is 101 days later. Louisiana's 101. Rituals like this every single year. Now, as a reminder, from Joe Burrow's birthday to the date of Super Bowl 54 was 54 days later. And we talked about how it was the Joe Montana Bowl. Joe Montana equals 54 in Gematria. It was his 49ers versus Chiefs. The mainstream media told you the Chiefs were going to win because they put out the article, and every single outlet did the same thing. Joe Montana guaranteed his team would win, which was supposed to be a joke because he played for both teams, but every single mainstream outlet that ran that story, from the New York Times to Sports Illustrated to ESPN and beyond, every single one showed a picture of Joe Montana in either a Chiefs jersey or carrying a Chiefs flag or wearing a Chiefs scarf. Every single one. And I pointed this out to my people on Patreon. There's a lot of reasons that we favored the Chiefs over the Niners, who got it done by the numbers. And just on a quick side note, again, if you're new here, Gematria, the practice of coding numbers into words, it's based on the alphabetic order forwards and backwards. Notice how 49ers equals 64 and 62. The Chiefs have now scored 64 points in Super Bowls and have had 62 points scored against them. And don't forget that Kansas City Chiefs is also 64. And don't forget that Patrick Mahomes beat Len Dawson's 1964 touchdown passing record exactly 64 weeks before he won the Super Bowl. And don't forget his girlfriend's dad dropped dead at that game where he beat Len Dawson's record, and a whole lot more. The first black quarterback to win the Super Bowl, Doug Williams of the Redskins, like the Chiefs, was 64 years old at the time. Again, it's all scripted. When you know the code, you see through all of it. You call it in advance like we do year after year. So anyway, it was the Joe Montana Bowl. Joe Montana 54 days after Joe Burrow's birthday. Don't forget that Joe Burrow won the championship on a 54 date numerology in New Orleans, which equals 54. And they said Super Bowl 54 was the first all-red Super Bowl. Notice Reds 54 in reverse. It's 27 forwards. The AFC and NFC are now tied at 27 Super Bowl wins apiece. Told my people on Patreon from the start of the year that the AFC would win the Super Bowl. We favored the Chiefs as the most likely team to do it at the beginning of the year. After week 3, we saw the narrative for a potential Chiefs over 49ers Super Bowl. Again, just by following the code. And again, like we said, Joe Montana wore 16 with the Niners. Keep in mind, he beat the Bengals in Super Bowl 16. Get to that in a second. But he wore 19 with the Chiefs. So doesn't it make sense that in the Joe Montana Bowl, in the 2019 season, his team that he wore 19 for wins? It's exactly what happened. Kansas City also equals 67, the 19th prime. Now check this out. From Joe Burrow's December 10th birthday to the draft is his 136th day of his age. That is the 16th triangular number, which means if you had 1 through 16, it equals 136. Think about March Madness a couple years back. University of Maryland, Baltimore County defeated Virginia. That was the 136th time a 16 played a 1 seed, and it was on March 16th. The 16 seed beat the 1 seed for the first time ever in the rig game, which is part of the reason we knew Virginia would win the championship the next year, which we helped people win a ton of money with. Anyway, same ritual here. Joe Burrow now getting drafted by the Bengals on his 136th day of his age, the 16th triangular number. And again, the Bengals lost to Joe Montana, number 16, in Super Bowl 16. You see how it is? The way all of this is possible is because the people like Joe Burrow, Joe Montana, they are born and bred to be. They are essentially well-crafted pawns made for the chessboard. This goes on every single year. Every single year. And don't forget, Joe Burrow also equals 53, which is the 16th prime number. Remember, that's a huge number in the NFL. You got a 53 and 1/3 yard wide field. You got a 53-man roster. The reason why is because Vesica Pisces equals 53, which is the name of the shape of the football in sacred geometry. Remember, before the year of Super Bowl 53 started, we said why the Patriots would beat the Los Angeles Rams. And in Super Bowl 53, there were 16 combined points. Patriots and Los Angeles, the teams with the 53 connection. And for one more interesting thing, today's draft is in Bristol, Connecticut, which equals 222. This was my favorite reason that the Chiefs were going to beat the 49ers. We saw that Andy Reid was going to get his 222nd career win. The game was on 2/2/2020. And we also saw that the Super Bowl was scheduled for 222 weeks exactly after the Kansas City Royals had won the World Series, beating the New York Mets in the 111th World Series, where New York equals 111, and that World Series ended on 11/1. And I told everybody in spring training why the Mets were going to be in it. Again, you learn Gematria, you just see through the rituals again and again and again. Kansas City Royals equals 212, like the New York area code. It's all about New York with that World Series. But 222 was a big number. They mentioned that the 49ers had a $222 million payroll. But notice Connecticut alone. It's 127 and 46, just like Joe Burrow. 127's the 31st prime. Today has a life lesson number of 31. 31's the 11th prime. 11's the master number. Football's a game of 11 on 11. Again, you learn Gematria, you learn date numerology, you see how it's all scripted every single time, and the rituals are deep. So, time will tell what happens, but if I was a Bengals fan, I would look at this as an optimistic thing. You know, the Bengals have never won a Super Bowl. They're getting this guy, Joe Burrow, who's really, you know, he's made a name for himself in college. He's getting a lot of recognition. This is a huge ritual synced up with championship games. I'd say this is a good sign here for the Bengals. LSU Tigers, Cincinnati Bengals, Cats. Remember the black cat ritual? Monday Night Football at the New York game. That was a big number ritual. And just to remind you guys, when Joe Burrow won that rig championship in the fourth quarter, they gave you a numerology lesson on 20 and death. They talked about the death of Billy Cannon of the LSU Tigers. He won the Heisman in 1959. He helped LSU win the championship over Clemson in New Orleans that same season. Just like Joe Burrow's story. Billy Cannon, 59, like Freemasonry, like LSU Tigers. American football credited to Freemasonry. Billy Cannon died May 20th, 2018, the exact same day that Joe Burrow signed with LSU. Think that's a coincidence? Think again. And from his death to Joe Burrow's championship, 86 weeks later, the blood sacrifice number let me take you back to last year's draft. Last year, you had the death. Well, remember last year the NFL draft was in Tennessee. You had a Tennessee college football player who worked with the 49ers, Reginald John Cobb, 86, blood sacrifice 86, dead the day that Kyler Cole Murray, 86, was taken number 1 in Tennessee. And there was a whole lot more to that riddle. I'd encourage you to go back and watch it. But again, the same type of stuff every single year. For the young guys, old guys get sacrificed. And the same thing will probably happen today if it hasn't happened already. I haven't seen the headline, but just realize this goes on all the time. And I know a lot of you want to know about Rob Gronkowski meeting Tom Brady in Tampa Bay by the numbers. Come see my post on it at GematriaEffectNews. From Brady's birthday to the day that Gronkowski announced he'll join him with the Bucs, it was Brady's 263rd day of his age, the 56th prime. Gronkowski's 56. So is coronavirus. Got to go back and see my work on March 17th about the day Brady announced he was going to the Bucs with the whole coronavirus thing. Again, it's a lot to explain, but news and sports, it's all synced up, just like how Tom Brady became the name of the league with the Patriots after 9/11 and the Patriot Act. And this coronavirus scam, it's the latest New World Order plot since 9/11. So we'll leave it there for now, Truth Seeker. Learn Gematria, read my book, sign up for Gematria School. You'll be a world ahead. Links are in the description. Till next time.